Hello, thank you for clicking on this video. If you are here, you're probably either A, wondering what it is that I do for a living, or B, what the heck microblading is, or both. I've been wanting to do this for a little while now. I think it's kind of important to explain to my clients the process of microblading. And yeah, you can Google all day, right? But this is how I do things, and I want this to be a tool for my clients to come to and kind of just have questions answered that they might have, or just kind of understand and get a better grasp for what it is that they're paying for and signing up for and booking an appointment for and what to expect and all of that. So that's what this is going to be. I'm just going to be explaining pretty much the process of an appointment, and just kind of a whole gist of what the heck microblading is, because it can definitely be confusing and it's definitely becoming more popular, and it has over the past couple of years. Mostly people will say, oh, what is it that you do? And like, what? And they think it's like eyebrow threading, or they ask if it hurts and how much it is and kind of what the process is. So that's what I'm going to explain today. So I made some notes to organize my brain and we will get started. But first things first, if you don't know me, my name is Maya and I am a certified and trained and insured microblading artist. And I have been doing microblading for a while now, since 2018. So I absolutely love it, and it's the perfect job for me. I'm artsy, but I love the beauty world, and those two kind of just go hand in hand. And I love making people feel confident about themselves and seeing the reaction of my clients once I give them new eyebrows. It's just like out of this world. So enough about me. Let's get into the video. What is microblading? The basic definition is a semi-permanent eyebrow tattoo. So I take a manual tool, and this will look different depending on who your artist is and kind of what they use. There's a ton of different microblading pens and blades and different styles and pins and whatever. So this is just what I use most of the time. I will flip-flop between different ones if I think the client needs that, depending on skin type and all that jazz. But so this blade goes into the pen, and it kind of just looks like that, and it looks kind of scary, but don't be scared. This manual tool is used to create small, thin, hair-like strokes in the eyebrow, and it's extremely natural. My goal as a microblading artist is to, I got an Amazon package. My goal is for nobody to know that you got your eyebrows microbladed. The reason why it's semi-permanent is because it doesn't go into the dermis layer of the skin. So you see those old school eyebrow tattoos that fade to kind of like a blue-gray or pink-orange. It's not that at all. That was most likely done with a tattoo gun, and those penetrate deeper into the skin, whereas microblading only goes into the first layer of skin, so the epidermis. It's better that it is semi-permanent because eyebrow trends change all the time. One year there'll be thin eyebrows, one year there will be fluffy, big, thick eyebrows. It really depends, and I don't think, I personally wouldn't be comfortable with having these same exact eyebrows for the rest of my life. So if you stop getting annual touch-ups done for your microblading, eventually it's gonna fade away. So take with that what you will. So that's the basic description of what it is. Who is a candidate and who isn't? A lot of people can get microbladed. It doesn't matter if you have no eyebrow hair, a lot of eyebrow hair, even eyebrows, uneven, whatever. I have had clients with 0 eyebrows come to me and we build the brows together. I have had clients with thick, bushier eyebrows come to me and they just want to make them even, one's higher than the other. It really doesn't matter. It's up to you, it's your face. You have to look at your eyebrows every day. So it really depends on what you want and what you're looking for, and we can work together to achieve whatever end goal it is that you're trying to achieve. Who is not a candidate? Mostly, I would say if you're pregnant or breastfeeding. You can't do a lot of things when you're pregnant, right? And I'm so sorry. Something to do with high estrogen levels, and it could cause you to bleed more during your appointment. Excess bleeding prevents the retention of pigment healing properly after your appointment. That's a reason, and also because when you're pregnant, your body's going through a lot of changes, obviously. And your face could be more swollen than usual, and it's just like you want to wait till after you're pregnant, after you're breastfeeding, just to be safe. And you know, this is a commitment. I want to make sure that you do it right. As far as who else is not a candidate, if you're undergoing chemotherapy, I would definitely get a clearance from your doctor. That's not to say that you can't get microbladed. You would just have to provide a doctor's note to ensure that your safety and everything is good to go, and that would be totally fine. And then I would love to work together. Someone who is on blood thinners, and on your consent forms, this will be a question as far as a ton of other questions, but blood thinners is super important to not be on for before your appointment. And of course, if you're taking them for medical reasons, you don't want to get off that medication. But excess bleeding during your appointment is no good. And the more you bleed during your appointment, the harder it is for us to work, and the harder it is for the pigment to actually stay into the skin and heal properly, if that makes sense, which I'll get into that more as well. That's pretty much that on who is and who isn't a candidate. Of course, if you have any specific questions regarding certain medications, like, you can always reach out to me. I'm always here for anyone who has any sort of concerns or questions. You can always reach out to me on my Instagram page, because that's what I want in an artist. I want someone who's there for me, and I will always be there for you, I promise, regardless of what it is. So the overall process of a microblading appointment. Okay, so you find your artist, you stalk their page, they've been there, I've had my eyebrows done, like, you just obsess over it. And then you're like, okay, I'm ready to book. Now what? So usually you'll go to a booking link, you'll talk to your artist, you'll book with them directly, and you most likely will have to give a deposit, which I'll touch on, and you have an appointment date and what to do before and what to expect during. All of my clients beforehand, before they come in, no alcohol, no aspirin, no caffeine. Just stay away from it. No alcohol. I can tell if you go out and drink the night before, because you're going to be bleeding. Also, girls, if you're on your period, it'll probably make you more sensitive, and you might bleed a little bit more during your appointment. Now, when I say bleed, I've never had anyone gushing blood, right? Sorry if that's gory, but most likely going to have a little bit of blood, but there's never been anything crazy. You can definitely tell if you drank excessively the night before. Just don't do it. It makes your appointment longer, it makes your artist kind of frustrated, and it's just not a good time. So no alcohol, and then caffeine and aspirins, thin your blood too. So just stay away from all of that the day before and the day of your appointment. Some people say up to a week before. I like my wine, so just the day before is what I ask, and I usually don't have a problem requesting that, and a lot of people actually do abide to that, so that's good. So as far as when you get to your appointment, I greet you with my shining, smiling face, and hi, welcome, my name's Maya, it's so nice to meet you. Are you excited? How are you feeling? La la. We kind of go over like a little bit of consultation at the beginning of your appointment. So why do you want to do this? And obviously the answers vary. I overplucked in the 90s and my hair won't grow back. This one's uneven. I have a bad eyebrow. Everyone has a bad eyebrow, by the way. Don't be ashamed. I get to know your thoughts, what you're kind of looking for. If you have a photo that you want to show me on how you fill your eyebrows in, it's up to you if you want to come in with your eyebrows filled in or not. It gives us a good idea on how you like your brows to look and kind of like the color that you typically fill them in with. It's no big deal if you come without makeup. A lot of people come with no brow makeup, and I just kind of do my thing and I map them out and give you kind of brows that I think would look best for your face shape. Totally personal preference. So then I lay down, begin the mapping process. The mapping process takes kind of a while. This is super important to make sure that I have a good template to work with. So I personally will map your brows according to your natural bone structure, face shape, natural thickness, brow bone, all of that. I have seen artists on like Instagram and stuff that will like get rid of your eyebrows and map them where they're supposed to be to make them perfect, which is terrifying, because then when your eyebrows grow back, you'll have 4 eyebrows and nobody wants 4 eyebrows. So that's not how I do things, for sure. My goal is to make them as natural as possible, and I don't want people to know that your eyebrows are microbladed. That's just how I do things. Everyone is different, obviously. Microblading is the most natural form of permanent makeup for the eyebrows. So that's what I like to kind of roll with. Map them out, we'll measure everything, we'll decide together if the thickness is good, If you like the arch, I'll usually try to give each client a little bit of an arch. It's kind of like a natural eye lift, non-surgical obviously. And then I put on the topical numbing cream, and that's a whole thing for people. They're like, I'm scared this is gonna hurt, and then they kind of brace themselves as if I'm going to come in and numb them with a needle. No. It's a topical anesthetic, either 5 to 7% topical, medical grade, good stuff. So you are going to be numbed, and I numb you anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes. I ask if it takes a while for you to numb with Novocaine at the dentist, because if you have a difficult time numbing there, you'll probably have a difficult time numbing with me. Don't worry, people usually give the pain a 1 out of 5, a 1 to 2 out of 5 on a pain scale. And it's really not that bad. Some artists do not pre-numb, mine didn't, and I don't want to put anyone through that. But I think it's easier to work on someone who's comfortable than anything else. If you're squirming, moving your face around, like, I'm not going to be able to do my best work. I ensure that you're going to be as comfortable as possible. So you pre-numb 15 to 20 minutes, and then I fill out consent forms. I go over any questions that you have, and then we kind of get started. I pre-numb, and then I numb you throughout the appointment. So there's a topical anesthetic, and then there's an anesthetic that you've probably heard of if you have tattoos or whatever, called blue gel. There's different brands that only work when the skin is open. So I use that throughout the appointment too, if there is any discomfort, to kind of get you back numb and get you comfortable again. So before we get started, I choose a pigment. So I typically will custom mix a pigment per client depending on their skin tone, whether they have cool skin tone, warm skin tone, neutral, and also basically go off of the color that they usually fill their brows in. And the thing is that your brows, when you leave this appointment, will be as dark as they're going to be, and then they will fade 30 to 40%. Microblading is obviously going to be a change for your face, so I usually like to be a little bit more conservative with the pigment color choice, because I don't want to shock you too much and have them be too dark or whatever. So I will usually start a little bit lighter, and then at your touch-up, we can go darker, which 99% of clients go darker at the touch-up, just trust me. Once we decide on a pigment together, we get started, and we just take this tool and we'll do a back and forth motion on the eyebrows. So I'll usually start with the right eyebrow. I blade that up, just little tiny hair strokes, put a pigment mask, more numbing, work on the left one, and do a back and forth kind of motion until, you know, they're filled. And people ask how many strokes. I have no idea. It really just depends on how big your eyebrows are. It really just depends client to client. Go over each stroke 2 to 3 times, depending on your skin type and how thin or thick your skin is. So it just is case to case, and it totally depends on the client and all of that jazz. Not to mention that before I map you out, I will take before photos if you give me the right to, which will also be in your consent form. So I'll take before photos, usually before a video, and then once I'm done microblading, I will take after photos. I'm pretty much done with the brows. I will put a pigment mask, and I do microblade with pigment on the pen. So I'm dipping into the cosmetic pigment every time I make a stroke. But then at the end, a pigment mask, just to ensure that the pigment goes into the strokes. So as that sits on the brows at the end of the appointment, we will go over aftercare. As far as aftercare, which is extremely important, I'm thinking of doing a whole video on that. So if you'd be interested in that, I think that would be a cool way. I mean, I give all of my clients like a goodie bag with like ointments, 2 different papers of like instructions and kind of what to expect on your day-to-day while you're healing. Obviously that explains everything, but I think having a video to send them and let them watch could be helpful. Aftercare is extremely important. You don't want to sweat. You don't want to get into any bodies of water. You don't want to have water dripping on your eyebrows in the shower. You want to be conscious of how you sleep. If you are a side sleeper or a stomach sleeper, you're going to want to try for at least 10 days after your appointment to not be moving around and having your brows going all which way as they're healing. It is an open wound technically, so you just want to be super conscious of them at all times. Sweating will definitely push out the pigment. So if you're a big workout junkie, you want to be super careful because you don't want to be excessively sweating after your appointment. The healing process is a process, I'll say that. People, think that they need some downtime after a microblading appointment, but that's not true in my opinion. I tell all of my clients I wish I could have freshly microbladed eyebrows every day because of how amazing that they look. Day 1, day 2 are like my favorites. They will be as dark as they're going to be because the pigment is kind of sitting on top of the skin, and as it starts to heal, that's when it starts to fade and kind of heal and get a little flaky. So day 1, day 2, not a problem. You'll be a little tender. It might feel like you have a sunburn after you leave your appointment, and at that time you're good to go with some aspirin. If you're extremely dry, you're probably going to get more flaky than someone who is extremely oily. I personally peeled day 5 after I got my brows done. Kind of like get a little bit of flakiness going on in your eyebrows. They'll kind of start to scab up, which is totally normal. You just will continue cleaning them as you're instructed and putting the ointment on them as you're instructed. But day 4, day 5, day 6, depending on you, everyone is obviously different. It could get a little scabby and flaky, and you don't want to touch them. You just want to keep cleaning them and keep putting your ointment on. And then it'll look like your eyebrows, which is terrifying because you just spent all this money and you're like so happy with your new freshly microbladed eyebrows. They get flaky, they peel off, and it looks like the pigment just totally disappeared. But it's normal. Trust the process. I cannot stress it enough. Trust the process. It'll look like the pigment kind of just disappeared. But over the course of the next 4 to 8 weeks, if you keep an eye out on your brows as they're healing, towards the end of the 4 weeks, you will notice the pigment starting to resurface, and it's totally normal. And that is when you would come in for your touch-up. And you can get your touch-up after 4 weeks and before 8 weeks. And I include my touch-up in my initial price because I think the touch-up is totally necessary for your eyebrows to be perfected. I like to see my clients a second time to kind of see how they're feeling about them. They've been staring at them for the past month, and they might want a stroke added here. They might want to go darker, which everyone pretty much does. It just gives us a chance to meet again and kind of perfect anything else. In that first appointment, I don't like to overwork the brows, so I really like to have that second appointment to kind of just perfect everything and make them as best as possible. So the cost varies, and I don't want to say it in this video just because prices change. I will say in Florida, it varies from, I would say, I wouldn't pay less than $430 to get microbladed, in my personal opinion. When I got mine done, I think I paid like $550, and this is someone who's been doing it for an extremely long time. I would say anywhere from $430 to $650 depending on the technique that you get done. Microblading tends to be cheaper than powder brows or shaded machine work brows, which is a whole different thing, but for microblading itself, anywhere from $430 to like $550, $580 would probably be the price range that you would be looking for in this area of Florida where I am. Obviously, depending on where you live, it could change. I know in Australia they charge upwards of $1,000. So it just depends on where you are. Do your research. You don't want to go to someone who's given a deal or a Groupon or anything like that, and you also don't want to be scammed into paying $900 like I heard happen the other day. Just don't do it. Do your research. Talk to your artist. See healed photos of their work. All of that is very important in making a decision. This is a big decision. This is a commitment that you're technically getting a face tattoo. So do yourself a favor and do your research and go to someone who actually knows what they're talking about and someone who doesn't just want your money. So that's my advice. To upkeep microblading, like I said, if you don't keep up with yearly to 2-year touch-ups or whatever, the microblading will eventually fade away. Personally, I like to get my brow touch-ups at the year mark, maybe a little bit before, because I'm crazy about my eyebrows. But if you go to the same artist for your yearly touch-ups, you will never pay as much as you did for that initial appointment. I do know if you go to a new artist, they usually will make you pay the whole upfront cost to begin with. I sometimes don't really do that. If you need a touch-up and you went to someone else, I will have a consultation with you and see if I can help you out. But that's that on that. Everyone has a way to book differently. Sometimes there's a booking link in their bio. Sometimes you just have to talk to them directly. That's how you would book. You would find an appointment. Usually, if I'm not too booked out, I will try to accommodate with my clients as much as I can. If you need a specific day, I can try to work with you and kind of figure out something that works for the both of us. If you do need something specific, you can always reach out to me and ask. I do microblade your eyebrows and you go home and you're healing, I tell all of my clients, like, please reach out to me if your eyebrows are flaking and you're freaking out and you like don't know what's going on. Even though I explain everything and I give them paperwork and stuff, it definitely can ease people's mind if they can reach out to you and you answer right away, like, this is normal, don't worry, everything will be fine, trust the process. So my door is always open for my clients pretty much any time of the day. If you reach out to me and you're like, Maya, like, my eyebrows are dark, I'm like, they're gonna fade and you're gonna miss how dark they are, or they're gonna miss it, I promise. So I always have that open door policy, even after your appointments. So that's just how I like to do things. Some artists don't do things that way, which is totally fine. Yeah, I think I covered everything that I kind of wanted to mention as far as like the basics of microblading, what it is, and the whole process. Of course, there are different brow techniques, machine work techniques, and then there's microblading with shading, and then there's ombre/powder brows. So talk to your artist, see kind of what would work best for you. If you're going for a more natural look, or if you want something, you know, you wear a lot of makeup and you want something that looks more filled in and bold. There are options for everyone, so don't be afraid to communicate with your artist of choice and see what would work best for you and your lifestyle and all of that. So thank you if you made it through this entire video. I know it was probably kind of long. It is a big decision. I think it's important to know the ins and outs of what to expect if you book an appointment with me or any other artist. So I appreciate you being here, and like I said, if you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out to me on Instagram. My microblading Instagram is at microbladingflorida. So I'm always here for you, and I hope you have a great day. And that's about it. Bye.